Mitsubishi L200 Off-Road x2. On the one side, the representative of the 5th generation, and on the other, the brand new 6th generation model with new technology. The Japanese pickup has been around since 1978, which is still a whole year longer than the Mercedes G-Class. This means that the L200 has been manufactured the longest of any other pickup in the world. We're taking advantage of this head-to-head confrontation in off-road terrain to test out what the long seller has to offer.
Whoa, 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 whoa! My fellow test driver, Mr. Birding, has got a bit bogged down over there, and Mrs. Nissen has to get out and check whether he'll be able to make it through. Aha!
He's not bogged, and if he can make it through, there's certainly nothing to stop fellow test driver Kreplin. But let's start at the beginning. Why is the Explorer editorial team careering through the heathland with two Mitsubishis?
The Explorer editorial team has had a Mitsubishi L200 in their vehicle fleet for 4 years now. We've modified it so many times. We added a hardtop, a camper, a rooftop, everything you could think of. A new model has been released in the meantime, and we wanted to find out what sort of differences there were between the old and the new. So we loaned a new vehicle and drove it directly to the off-road site, and we are just in the process of testing what one can do that the other can't and where the differences lie. For example, has Mitsubishi perhaps already found a remedy for those things that annoyed us about the pickup? Even though we've actually never written to them to tell them what annoyed us, but I'm absolutely positively surprised. The pickup has come a really long way in its development, even though we are driving with 30 HP less than in our L200. This vehicle only has 150 HP but cruises along comfortably here, even up the steepest hill. It has a 2.2-liter diesel engine that meets the Euro 6 D-Temp standard, which means it can be certified in the normal way. Ours, of course, is still a Euro 5 diesel with 2.4 liters and 181 HP. One new feature of this vehicle that we've been able to take for a test drive is that it has a 6-speed automatic transmission. There used to only be a 5-speed automatic transmission, so this one gives an extra gear. Although it's only available for the dual cab version, the 1.5 cab has to still make do with the 6-speed manual, so nothing's changed there. There's also been a further development of the powertrain. The Mitsubishi pickup has always had what's called selectable all-wheel drive, which in effect is really nothing more than a visco coupling unit in the center diff that can be locked electronically, and it's been enhanced by a few more drive programs that I can select here via a push button. Whether they are actually needed. At the moment we are driving in gravel mode, and up to now I haven't discovered any difference at all between snow, mud and gravel. But one thing's for sure, even with the winter tires that are fitted here, the vehicle has easily tackled every obstacle it has encountered so far.
But there's one thing that quickly becomes clear. You can really notice the positive effect of the greater ground clearance of the modified Explorer L200. An impressive feat in such tricky terrain. Good, the wheelbase of the new model is also 3 meters shorter than that of the competition from Mercedes and Ford, and the load bed is not significantly smaller than that of the X-Class or the Ranger. But at just 1.8 meters between the wheelhouses, the L200 definitely brings up the rear of the pickup family.
The pricing policy has also changed a bit. Where there used to be 3 different model versions, there's now only Basis and Plus. We are sitting here in the Plus version, which is the same as the editorial team one, and the quality of some features has changed considerably. For example, I think the steering wheel is much better than ours. On the other hand, there are also quite a lot of things that have remained the same. This piano finish here, for example, it's absolutely terrible. It scratches really easily, especially here at the door handles. That hasn't changed. One thing that has been improved are the seats. Optimized side support, they are much better than the ones in our pickup. A lot has happened when it comes to the interior fittings. Here it's important to mention the diff locks on the rear axles. They are now included as standard. They used to only be available for the basic pickup and not for the higher spec version. Another big plus is that there is now seat heating. The price increase is around 3,000 euros. I'll now have to pay 30 to 31,000 euros for the basic version of the club cab, the 1.5 cab, and around 36,000 euros for the plus version. And a pickup with a double cab costs approximately 3,000 euros more.
The new L200 puts up a brave fight and scores points for innovations in technology and the interior. But how does it compare to the editorial vehicle, which has already experienced plenty of adventures across Europe?
Our L200 has now clocked up around 70,000 kilometers and accompanied us on plenty of trips and production appointments. For me personally, it was love at second sight. I'm being really honest here. To begin with, I thought, it's a car, but now I say it's a great car. It's transported us through the years without any breakdowns. The only one thing we've repaired was one set of brake pads, and that was it. That's pretty good for a car that's driven so many kilometers, and of course we've also driven it a lot off-road too. For example, we've been around Albania with it, up in the mountains, we've driven to Sardinia and we took it to Scandinavia. We've really seen a lot, and it's proven itself time and again.
Das Auto ist nicht mehr ganz Originalzustand.
The vehicle is no longer in its original condition. We installed an OME undercarriage and underride guard and cable winch bumper. The vehicle is a few centimeters higher with the undercarriage, and we also changed the tires over. We are now driving on 245/75 ones on 17-inch rims. They compensate a bit for the fact that we don't have the rear axle diff lock because this is the plus vehicle and not the basis version. That means that at the time we actually decided for the big engine and not for the diff lock. While the engine has stacks of torque on off-road terrain in good power and the gearbox for off-road use is extremely well balanced, it isn't quite as much fun on the motorway. A speed of 120 kilometers is pretty comfortable there. There's a big difference to the old version, even though the engine has less power. Hats off, there has been a big change. What's still the same for both vehicles is the quality of the plastic on the interior. This piano finish here and underneath the glove box in particular is very easily scratched. It quickly looks a bit shabby. You'll have to live with that, but on the other hand it can be washed down pretty well.
Da muss man mit leben, dafür ist es gut und abwaschbar.
And that's also an extremely useful feature, because after a day like this in off-road terrain, washable is an important criterion.
So, jetzt ist der Testtag vorbei und mal
So, the test day has now come to its end, and we've put the two brothers through their paces in the off-road terrain. That's the new one with its dynamic shield, which is what Mitsubishi calls this very striking front. This is the version that is really great for journeys. We were able to easily retrofit a winch bumper to it, which on the other hand is not really going to work with the new one. It's also easier to find new tires for the old one than it is for this version. It has 17-inch rims. The Plus version of the new one has 18-inch rims as standard. But as you can see here, we drove the whole day with winter tires, also the 18-inch ones, and that worked extremely well off-road. You can notice that the all-wheel drive ensures very good traction in the updated model. The only thing that we found a bit disturbing was the lack of ground clearance in this one. We modified this one and fitted an OME undercarriage, which gave us an extra 5 centimeters. And of course, we sorely missed that. And here at the rear, there's another thing that could also be a sore point.
Da ist noch so ein Punkt, was schmerzlich werden könnte. Hier gibt es jetzt
There are now two petrol caps. That's for AdBlue and that's for diesel. That means we always need to travel with the additive so that we can operate the exhaust gas cleaning. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out when we are on the road in the future.
Wie sich das auf Reisen auswirkt.
On the other hand, comparing the two, not a lot has changed at the rear. Simply the figures are better. The new L200 can now handle 1-ton payload and a 3.1-ton trailer load. That is a real advantage. The dimensions of the load bed have remained identical. And here's a nice detail. This was the old bump where the rear view camera was housed, and they've managed to find a better solution for the new one. And the taillights have also been updated a bit. They are now partly LED. These are fitted with light bulbs. Here everything is light bulbs, and this area here was always pretty exposed off-road.
Our L200 has been a trusty companion for many years, but nevertheless it's the end of the road for the editorial vehicle after this season. In autumn we're going to put together a detailed review of all the conversions and some of the adventures we've experienced with the Mitsubishi. And there are lots of other films about pickups here on our channel. Feel free to take a look around.